Certainly. Here's a captivating overview of significant wars in American history, told as a narrative: the American Saga: wars that shaped a nation. The American Revolutionary War. In the late 18th century, tensions between the American colonies and British rule reached a boiling point. The year was 1775, and the cry for freedom echoed through the towns and cities of the 13 colonies. In a small village of Concord, Massachusetts, the shot heard round the world rang out, marking the beginning of the American Revolutionary War. As British troops marched in, colonists gathered under the banner of independence. Leaders like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Benjamin Franklin emerged, rallying the colonies around the idea of self-governance. The war was not just fought on battlefields but in the hearts of ordinary people who yearned for liberty. The struggle was fierce. Battles raged in places like Bunker Hill, Saratoga, and Yorktown. The winter at Valley Forge tested the resolve of Washington's army, where starvation and disease threatened to extinguish their dream. Yet, through unity and resilience, they endured. With the aid of France, the tide began to turn. In 1781, British General Cornwallis surrendered, and the dream of a new nation took a step closer to reality. The Treaty of Paris in 1783 formally recognized the United States as an independent nation. A new chapter had begun, one founded on principles of liberty and justice. A nation divided. Fast forward to the mid-19th century. The United States, now a growing nation, was at a crossroads. The issue of slavery had divided the country, creating a rift between the North and the South. In 1861, the tension erupted into the Civil War. The South, fighting to maintain its way of life, and the North, determined to preserve the Union, engaged in one of the bloodiest conflicts in American history. The war brought forth leaders like President Abraham Lincoln, whose resolve to end slavery galvanized the northern states. Battles like Gettysburg and Antietam became symbols of sacrifice and valor. The horrific realities of war were laid bare as soldiers faced brutal conditions. The Emancipation Proclamation in 1863 marked a turning point, transforming the war into a fight for freedom. As the war dragged on, the toll became immense. Families were torn apart, and cities lay in ruins. Yet, the spirit of perseverance prevailed. In 1865, General Lee surrendered to General Grant at Appomattox Courthouse, signaling the end of the Civil War. The nation emerged from the ashes, scarred but resolute. The passage of the 13th Amendment abolished slavery, a monumental step toward healing a divided nation. World War I. The early 20th century saw America step onto the global stage as tensions in Europe escalated into World War I. The year was 1917, and the United States faced a choice: remain neutral or join the fray. The sinking of the Lusitania and the Zimmerman telegram swayed public opinion, leading President Woodrow Wilson to declare war on Germany. American troops, known as doughboys, arrived in Europe, bringing fresh energy to the weary Allied forces. They fought bravely in battles like Belleau Wood and the Argonne Forest, where the spirit of camaraderie and sacrifice flourished amidst the chaos of war. As the war drew to a close in 1918, America emerged as a key player on the world stage. Wilson's 14 points aimed for lasting peace, though the Treaty of Versailles ultimately sowed seeds of discontent, setting the stage for future conflicts. The world was once again engulfed in conflict by the late 1930s. The rise of fascism and aggression in Europe and Asia led to the outbreak of World War II. Initially reluctant to enter the war, the United States was thrust into action after the attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941. President Franklin D. Roosevelt's famous address galvanized the nation. American factories shifted into high gear, producing war materials at an unprecedented pace. young men and women enlisted, ready to fight for freedom and democracy. The war brought iconic battles, D-Day at Normandy, the Pacific Island hopping campaign, and the fierce battles in the skies and seas. Heroes emerged, from the Tuskegee Airmen to the brave soldiers who stormed the beaches of Normandy. As the war raged on, the horrors of the Holocaust and the atrocities committed by the Axis powers underscored the moral imperative to prevail. In 1945, the United States dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, hastening Japan's surrender and ending the war. The world was forever changed, and the United States emerged as a superpower. With the end of World War II came a new kind of conflict, the Cold War. The ideological battle between capitalism and communism defined the latter half of the 20th century. America found itself in a standoff with the Soviet Union, leading to proxy wars and a nuclear arms race. The Korean War, 1950 to 1953, saw American troops engage in a bitter struggle to prevent the spread of communism in Asia. The Vietnam War, 1955 to 1975, became a defining chapter, as the United States grappled with its role in the world. Protests erupted at home as the realities of war clashed with public sentiment. In the 1980s, President Ronald Reagan took a hard stance against communism, leading to a gradual thaw in relations with the Soviet Union. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 symbolized the end of an era, ushering in a new world order. As the world entered the 21st century, a new enemy emerged. The events of September 11, 2001, reshaped America's foreign policy and led to the War on Terror. The nation united in grief and anger as it confronted the threat of terrorism. The invasion of Afghanistan followed swiftly, aimed at dismantling Al-Qaeda and removing the Taliban from power. This was followed by the controversial invasion of Iraq in 2003, driven by the belief that Saddam Hussein possessed weapons of mass destruction. American soldiers found themselves engaged in lengthy conflicts, facing guerrilla warfare and an evolving enemy. The toll of these wars was profound, affecting military families and the fabric of American society. As the dust settled on decades of conflict, America found itself at a crossroads once more. The wars of the past shaped the nation, instilling values of bravery, sacrifice, and the pursuit of freedom. Yet, they also raised questions about intervention, the cost of war, and the responsibility of a global superpower. From the Revolutionary War to the War on Terror, each conflict contributed to a complex tapestry of American identity. The lessons learned serve as a reminder of the cost of freedom and the enduring spirit of a nation that continues to strive for a better future. Conclusion: the story of America's wars is a saga of courage, sacrifice, and resilience. Each chapter, marked by trials and triumphs, has shaped the nation's character and defined its role in the world. As America reflects on its past, it stands ready to face the challenges of tomorrow, united in the belief that the pursuit of liberty and justice remains a noble cause.